What up, gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice and Dragons, we are going back to the wizarding world with a game that Julie and I have been eagerly awaiting. And what kind of game is it, Julie?
It's a it's a competitive game.
Yeah, what is that, 2 in a row now?
I lost track. He keeps, I was going to say keeps forcing me to play them. No, we were waiting for this game. We were eagerly awaiting. And on that note also, this is a review copy provided to us by the Op Game. So we want to thank them for the review copy. And what do we want to remind our friends?
Yes, that our opinions are our own. And also big thank to Ross Thompson, who is always very available when it comes to helping us out and has supported the channel. And we really appreciate it, Ross. Thanks again for getting us the chance to take a look at the House Cup competition by the Op Games, designed by Nate Heiss and Kemi Mandell. Look, got all my stuff done. So Julie, take it away.
As I said before, a competitive game. It is intended for ages 11 and above. I personally think that that's a little young, depending on how well you want them to play. Anyways, maybe we can get into that. I understand why it's 11, but I think it might be a little low.
I will say that if you have an experienced gamer in the house, like you've been bringing them up on games, 11 is probably the right age.
So it's a 2 to 4 player game, and the average time is 75 minutes. We've played it at 2, 3, and 4 players, and I can definitely say the time varies greatly. The more players you have, the more decision time it takes. So it's longer so 2 players is shorter, 4 players is longer, and also the speed at which players play. So Jason and I play rather quickly when we play games. Sometimes I have a little bit of analysis paralysis, especially in a game like this. Yeah.
And don't worry, we're going to talk about all that stuff in the review. So what are you doing? Well, you're going to be taking control of one of the famous houses of Hogwarts, either Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, and Slytherin. Hufflepuff. And you will have 3 students. What you're going to be doing is deploying your students to level up their skills in the dark arts, potions, and charms. You will then be able to complete lessons that will give you rewards that may also be levels. You will need to also manage your resources in terms of knowledge and magic, and then complete challenges to score points to ensure that your house is the one that's going to win the House Cup. And don't worry, there is no I win for Gryffindor card in this game.
No.
So, well, I guess you could just do that, have someone randomly dress up as Dumbledore and show up and say Gryffindor wins, but it's not a mechanic in the game.
No.
So what time is it now, Julie?
It's time to grab our drinks.
Grab our
fellow wizard,
yeah. We're rivals now.
All right, take it to the table one more time.
Yeah, I'm going to beat you, Malfoy.
I'm sorry. I'm Hermione.
I don't know. You're going to be playing Slytherin this next game.
Then I guess I'll beat you.
Now we're going to take a quick look at the components for Harry Potter, the House Cup competition. So we'll start with the rule book. Just want to point out there are no quick reference guides on the back. Now, the layout is solid, and you do have everything that you need to learn the game that is well organized. So how to play out is in this area right here. You do have the individual setup, how to set up the board. And then if you do need any references at the end of the book, you get all of the explanations that you need, especially for some of the more complicated lessons, as well as some of the game board locations, as well as the ones that will appear as you're playing the game. Now, we mentioned that there were no reference cards. That's because you've got the turn order reference cards here. So they are double-sided, one with the order and one with the icon on the back. So that's how they are. Next, we have the location cards that you'll see where they go on the board. So you have 4 starting locations from platform 9 3/4, number 4 Privet Drive, 12 Grimmauld Place, or the Burrow. Then you have a bunch of level 2 locations. I won't read them all off, but like Quality Quidditch Supplies, Ollivanders, Flourish and Blots. So all of these places that let you get some cool stuff. Gringotts is pretty powerful. Haven't seen that one come up in play yet. The Shrieking Shack, that's pretty cool. So lots of locations thematic to Harry Potter. Then we have a few level 3 ones, which all have 2 worker spots. So Godric's Hollow, Ministry of Magic, Nocturne Alley, and Malfoy Manor. Now here we've got the lesson cards. So we have the basic lesson cards. Now to learn a lesson, you must have the requirements, and a student can do that once per turn. And you gain the words below. So you got Hortensia, Amplifying Charm, Banishing Charm, and as you saw in the rulebook, there were some clarifications for those. We do also have advanced lessons. So 6 defense against the dark arts, and you get 2 times the levels that you normally gain during the placement. Pretty cool. The Impervious Charm, +1 book and play an extra lesson. So that's pretty cool. Cornish Pixies, +2 challenges. Lots of good stuff that you can do with these lessons to enhance your abilities. These are backwards right now, but not that big of a deal. We'll put them back in the right order. So we have the easy challenges. So you can vanquish the Heir of Slytherin, 5 potions, 2 defense against the dark arts. There's your reward. You may also get resources like a hat. Well, not a hat, a magic hat. So magic, a lesson. You can also level up. You can get a knowledge. And you're not going to get anything that goes over 30 points with these easy challenges. And then we have the hard challenges here, where like learn Occlumency, you'll get 50 points, but you need 3 knowledge. You may gain 2 knowledge if you hear the Lost Prophecy. And the max you can gain on these is 60 points, like attack, protect the advance guard. Now we'll take a look at the player boards, and we've got these sliders that fit nicely into the boards. So I'll just show you how these work to track your levels. They're definitely very cool. And so we have the player boards with list of players for the different houses. Their tokens are right here. We'll take a look at them in just a second. So of course we got Gryffindor. We've got Ravenclaw. We have Hufflepuff. And then we have Slytherin. So I'll put that back in order. And as we were saying, we have the player tokens. So as you can see, Harry, hard to see, but Harry, Hermione, and Ron. I'm going to do my best here with each of them. You got their names listed on the player board. Luna, Cho Chang, and Padma Patil. For Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff has Cedric Diggory, Zachary Smith, and Hannah Abbott. And then for Slytherin, we of course have Draco Malfoy, Victor Goyle and Crabbe. Forget their names. I hate Crabbe and Goyle. Just going to leave it at that. Then we've got the different colored gems, which represent your scoring. Here you can see the knowledge and the magic tokens, our round tracker, our first player token, and you're going to be placing your gems in these different test tubes to keep track of your score, which looks really cool. Now I'm going to move this off camera quickly because we're going to take a look at the board, meaning I'm going to have to move some stuff around, and anything sticking up is going to just get in the way. So as you can see, we've got the board for the House Cup competition. So different locations, places for your lessons and challenges. Then at the bottom, you can see the round tracker, as well as where you're going to place those location cards. So there you have it. We've taken a look at the components for Harry Potter, the House Cup competition. Now keep it right here, as I'll be coming back at you and teach the setup and then the how to play. Now I'm going to teach you how to set up Harry Potter House Cup competition. So we'll start with this side right here. You're going to want to have your gems for however many houses are playing. You're going to want to make sure you open up the test tubes for the houses. Now, if you're wondering why it was those two, you'll notice that there are colored banners behind. So you can follow it. You don't have to. I just felt like doing it for this playthrough. So we're going to have Gryffindor facing off against Slytherin. This is a 2-player setup. Please check the rulebook for multiple players. Some of the resources are going to change for the 3rd and 4th player. Now, you need to set the starting levels of all of your character skills. So their potions, charms, and defense against the dark arts will be at 1. You'll take your players' tokens, your student tokens, place them at their positions on the game board. Now, each player is going to start with 2 knowledge. And then each player is also dealt 2 basic lessons. So we have Defeat a Vampire, which is 4 defense against the dark arts and 1 magic, and the Cheering Charm. So we're going to have those just face up. We'll draw the 2 for Slytherin. Those will also be just left face up. And we're just about ready to go. We just need to reveal the lessons that are available. As well as reveal the challenges. And it's important to note that some spaces on the board are not available depending on the amount of players that you are playing with. That's something that we're going to go over when we get to the how to play portion. Now, we need to decide who is the starting player. And just because, it's going to be Gryffindor. That's just the way it's got to be. It's a Harry Potter game. Harry Potter gets to go first. We now need to set up these locations. So we reveal 1 and play it face up in the starting location. The other ones are played face down, and they will be revealed as the game goes along. As you can see, 2, 4, and 6. These will unlock. I know the board is a little cut off down here, but it shouldn't be anything that's actually affecting teaching you the game. So there you have it. That's how you set up Harry Potter, the House Cup competition. Now keep it right here as I'll teach you how to play. Now we're going to teach you how to play Harry Potter, the House Cup competition. Now before we get into the little details as to what we're going to be doing, don't forget you got your turn order card that will tell you what you can do to play up to 1 lesson per turn. So keep that in mind. You can't play both. You can only play 1. You can then place a student, and then you go to phase 2, completing the challenges to score yourself victory points. But before we get into that, let's take a look at the iconography of the board. So you'll notice that there are spaces that have the player numbers listed below them. So those are not available in a 2-player game. Some require 4 players. Those 2 other require 3 players. This location here is special as all students can go here and there are no limits. Now, this symbol here, if you can see, has both a basic lesson and an advanced lesson on it, meaning that you can learn either of those. This symbol means to go up a level in any of the skills. So you can choose potions, charms, or defense against the dark arts. This here will give you 1 level in a specific skill, as well as an easy challenge of your choice that is available. Now, this all students location as well requires you to pay 1 knowledge. This space right here is 2 knowledge and a magic. 1 knowledge for this space, which will also let you gain a lesson of your choice as well as a first player token. This symbol here means to gain a hard challenge, as you can see here. And then this, of course, lets you gain knowledge. So plan your strategy accordingly. You may only be able to, complete 1 challenge. Depending on what you do, you may need some resources because you only start with 2 knowledge. Now that will change when you're playing with more players. So let's get this show on the road and teach you what we can do. Now we can only play 1 lesson card per turn, so we're taking a look at what we have, what's available. Now learning a lesson can be pretty cool. We're already the first player though, so not that much advantage to it. So we're going to choose Hermione Granger. She's going to go to this location here. She's going to level up her charms, and as you can only play 1 lesson card, you can play it when they're all together in the common room, after a student has met the requirements, or when they return to the common room later on. At this point, I'm going to play it right away. So it gets discarded, and we gain 1 magic from that lesson. So now it goes over to Slytherin, and Draco wants to go up 1 in potions. And I did skip something. Forgot the other part here. We do get to take a challenge. Sorry about that, playing a little too fast. So Hermione decided to play in the Quidditch final. So we're going to just put the challenge here with our lesson. We then reveal the next one. And yeah, potions was the best thing for Malfoy to do. Unfortunately, we can't complete any lessons with him. Now looking at what we can potentially complete. Well, right now the only thing we can for sure complete is the easy challenge, receive the owl post. So we will take that challenge. Play will now go back over to Harry. And just because it's easy and simple, we're going to go up 1 in defense against the dark arts and also take an easy challenge. So looking at what we'll be able to potentially complete. Well, I like the evade the mentor. Reveal the next one. So now things get a little bit more complicated. As you can see, we can no longer necessarily go up anything easily, but we can pay and go up a level and even gain a lesson. So we're going to spend the knowledge, and Crabbe is going to go here. He's going to choose a lesson that can be completed. Now Malfoy will be able to complete this upon returning to the room when he meets the availability. Oh, sorry, meets the requirements of the availability. So we will play that. We also get to go up a level of our choice. And looking at what we're trying to complete, potions is good. Later on, we may decide to go up in charms, defense against the dark arts. We're going to pick something that we don't have currently. So we will go up in charms. So now there's a few other things that we can do. And just because we've got the resources for Gryffindor at the moment, we're going to spend both the magic and knowledge to be able to have Ron go up 2 levels in something. So we're looking at what we want to complete. So right now we do meet the requirements for all of that. But maybe we want to do defense against the dark arts next time, complete this. Now that might not necessarily be the best plan. It's probably better to get Ron to go up in potions, but just trying to show you how you want to think about what you're trying to complete. Don't forget we got hard challenges over here, which are important as well. Look, you'll need like all of them require potions. So actually, that's what we're going to do. We'll go up to in potions with Ron, leaving Gregory Goyle. Now maybe we don't want Gryffindor to go first. We'll spend the knowledge. We're going to get a magic. We get a lesson of our choice. And potion seems to be what we're working on. So we'll take potions again. Reveal the next basic lesson. And take the first player token. And now we come back to the end of the round. All the students will return to the common room. Now, as we have yet to complete a lesson for Slytherin, they may then complete a lesson. Malfoy meets the requirements. There's potions, so he gets to gain 2 knowledge. Now, we then have to go to the challenge phase. So you must have a challenge card in hand. They do. During the challenge phase, you may complete 2 easy challenges, provided that you meet the requirements. The other thing that you can then do is complete a hard and an easy challenge if you happen to meet the requirements. That's not going to happen early on in the game. It's going to be difficult to meet the requirements. Now, what we recommend doing is assigning students to it. As no one meets the 4, we can't have them split up. A student can only be assigned to 1 challenge at this point. Now, if Harry did happen to have 4 in defense against the dark arts, we could complete both of them right now, but that's not the case. So we'll just assign Hermione and Ron because it shows you how to do the addition. So 3, we've got 4 in potions. We qualify for that. We're at 2, 3 in charms, 2 total for defense against the dark arts. We meet the requirements, meaning that we can now gain a level. And potion seems to be something that's really important. We're going to push Ron up. Now you notice it's hard to see here. It's a little clear on the Gryffindor. If you go to level 5, you do need to spend a magic in order to go up there. We then put this completed challenge on our board. We'll now take a look at the Slytherin challenge, so it requires 4 in potions, which all 3 of them together can complete, meaning that they will gain a level up and 10 victory points. Gryffindor got 20, so each gem is worth 10. We'll drop 2 in there and 1 for Slytherin. And the level is going to go to Draco, who wants to get higher in his potions just because of what we have on the board. Now the round marker goes up to 2. We reveal the new location, which requires level 3 in order for you to play. Now later on in the game, you would reveal this one. So Godric's Hollow, you need to be level 5 in a skill to play at either of these locations. And that's essentially what you're going to be doing throughout the game. Completing a lesson, doing your best to complete as many challenges as possible in order to move up the track. Now, I'm going to play one more round. I'm going to do this one rather quickly. I'm not really going to explain what I'm doing, just so you get an idea as to what we want to do for our end goals and just sort of how the strategy is going to work. So Malfoy, because he meets the requirements, is going to go here, push himself up to 5 in potions, spend a magic. So it's just cranking that level away. Potentially want to do well in charms again. I'm going to go up one with Hermione. Can't forget though, got to pick our challenges. So Malfoy's first, as he's all the way up at 5, he can do this one solo. He'll take travel by Portkey. And that's a very strong challenge for defense against the dark arts. And gives us 30 points. Might not get it done this time, but it's a solid choice for an easy challenge for Gryffindor. So now, back over to Slytherin, and well, we might decide that we actually want to gain some more resources. Also maybe get a hard challenge. So we'll have, use Goyle. Oh, sorry, this is Goyle. Just put them back at the wrong spot. I was going to go here to gain a magic and a hard challenge, and the easiest one to complete is take the owl. So getting that, which can potentially give 60 points early on, is a very powerful move. That does, however, give Harry the opportunity to level up 1 in defense against the dark arts and take another easy challenge. So we want to get as many points as possible. So we'll do win a midnight duel. Back over to Crabbe. Now, he's got a good move here, spending all his resources to go up 2 levels in charms, bringing him to level 4. So that's the end of the turn, and right now we don't have too many resources, so 2 knowledge and a hard challenge. This one will be tricky, but it's worth 60 points for Gryffindor. Now, we didn't take a look at our lessons. Could have done that earlier. Do we meet the requirements right now? So learning a lesson, we do meet all the requirements. And just to double check here with the rule book for learning a lesson, it's the chosen student. So a single student must meet the requirement. I just wanted to double check. So that's why we didn't do it. No student meets the requirement for defeating a vampire yet for Gryffindor. Let's check Slytherin. Well, we could have done something when Malfoy got to level 4, but we'd have to spend the magic. So we didn't actually get the magic. We spent it on that. But that's okay. We can complete this lesson, Amplifying Charms, which lets us take a lesson of our choice. So is there nothing that will give us magic? But this can give us 30 victory points. That's a good one to take. Oh, wait, did that wrong. Notice I took an advanced lesson when it's only a basic lesson. So we'll take the 3 in potions. But this also lets us take another easy challenge. So we'll take Enter the Chamber of Secrets. Now everyone goes back to their homeroom. And first player will go. We'll take a look. Now, we can try to do multiple ones here, but it's very straightforward. We want to take the owls if that's possible. So unfortunately, our defense against the dark arts is not high enough. Close, but there's lots of stuff we can do. We can definitely pass this one, but we're missing the knowledge, leaving the only option to travel by port key. So we complete this challenge, go up 20 points, and are able to then take another basic lesson. I'm just going to grab anything because this is the last round of this game that I'm going to be playing. Now, some lessons can be very powerful. As you can see, you can use an occupied space this turn. So keep that in mind. Now we come to Gryffindor, and we have 3, 4, 5. Almost there for the Dementor's Kiss. Not quite. We could win a Midnight Duel, though, because we definitely have 3, 4, 5. We have 2 in potions at least. We want to get the most points possible. So win the Midnight Duel, gaining us 30 points. So just to see how it looks, we'll show you quickly on the camera. As this fills up, you're going to see how the scoring works. So the first player stays with Slytherin. Round tracker goes up by 1, and play will continue until the 7th round. After that, you're going to score the game. Now, how you score points are 10 points for each gem, 10 points for a combo of magic and knowledge that is on your board, and 10 points for any player that has reached the end of their track and gotten to level 7. Anything else that you cannot complete will not count towards your score. And there you have it. That's how you play Harry Potter House Cup competition. So keep it right here as Julie and I will be coming back at you with our review of the game. So Harry Potter, the House Cup competition. What did you think of this competitive game?
Well, I was all excited. I pulled out my Harry Potter shirt. You're the one who beats me to this with your theme shirts, and I'm the one with my Harry Potter shirt.
Yes, well, little bit of behind the scenes info here. I asked Julie if I should go find my shirt, and she's like, "Nope, we've got the opportunity to film, so let's get to it." So that's why I'm wearing this.
So yeah, we were looking forward to this game. As if you've watched the channel, you know we like our Harry Potter games. We are big fans of Harry Potter. We even went to see the play on our honeymoon.
Yes.
So we definitely like the Harry Potter.
The Wizarding World.
The Wizarding World. But
this is a Fantastic Beasts shirt, which is part of the Wizarding World.
Yeah. So we like Harry Potter and Harry Potter games, and we have a few of them. So we were looking forward to this. It's definitely very thematic. That is for sure. It definitely encompasses the books / movies, whichever ones. Yeah,
there's lots of events that you're going to find from all of the movies, books in the game. When you're going to be completing challenges, it's things like produce a Patronus Charms, avoid a Dementor's Kiss, stop the heir of Slytherin, things like that. So everything is definitely rooted in Harry Potter lore. The player boards are great, especially having the crest for each of the houses. You've got some of the more prominent students from each of the houses. Ironically enough, I recognize more Ravenclaw students than any of the other houses. Well, Slytherin, because there's Crabbe and Goyle, but who wants to be Crabbe and Goyle? Couldn't we have gotten some cooler Slytherin students? I don't know.
Okay. So yeah, I loved, by the way, so the gems are they're pretty little gems, colorful gems that sit in I guess you could call it a beaker.
Oh, test tube.
Test tube. So they're very pretty. It looks very pretty. And as you say, the design of the boards are nice. I have
the player boards.
I have a little bit of a critique of those player boards, though. The little knob that you move as you increase your skill by levels is easy to knock off and to move. So there's opportunity for issues there. In our case, I guess the boards have already warped a little bit, so that
the boards were warped the first time I took it out to play. So I will say, the game board, no problem. Player boards are warped and the cards are warped. I don't know if that's just an issue with this copy of the game that we have. I'm going to try to flatten it out now. We've got, I think you can see in the corner that big, heavy Gloomhaven box. I think I even got a Street Masters box now that weighs more. So we're going to try to see what we can do to get them evened out. But that is definitely a critique that we have with the component quality. The other thing that I would have liked to have seen on the player boards would be either a token space or another item that you can put into a 3D space, because I really like how the track actually pops up just to say when your player has completed a lesson, because that was fairly difficult for people to keep track of, especially if you're playing the game with non-gamers. And I think we'd both agree that this is very much a family weight game that you can play with anybody. So you will probably be taking this out with some less experienced players.
And while we're on the topic of production of the game, one of the things I found difficult, and we had a similar comment from my parents, was just the distinguishing between the symbol of
dark arts and potions.
Dark arts and potions. They're the way that they are on the cards. They look very similar. A couple times I got caught looking at them. They're all black, and it's just they're so close. Charms is very easy to tell the difference, but I would have made them either a different color or just more easily distinguishable. Because
I probably would have done maybe like a longer beaker for a potion, like almost like a scientific style potion, just so that you could have your shield be a little bit more distinct. I have to agree with you. I'm not a big fan of the overall graphic design of the game. I find the game board is definitely, it's bland, not going to lie. Everything is serviceable. It does what you need it to do. And when it comes to the challenge cards as well, they're very straightforward, simple, but also bland. You're defeating the heir of Slytherin, but it's just the name. There's no art or anything on it that really sort of makes it pop. And considering some of the other Harry Potter games that we've played, like Hogwarts Battle, as well as Death Eaters Rising, it would have been nice to have something that just had a little bit more oomph to the game. That's really the only negative factor that I can, in terms of production value, is the board's warping, and not a big fan of the graphic design. But it works. It's not bad design. It works. It's just a little bland.
Yeah,
I don't know if you agree with me.
I agree, and like I said, the graphically the symbols are a little bit hard to distinguish. And when you're playing 4 players, I guess maybe at my age, it's getting a little bit harder for me to read what's going on on the print, at the size of the print on the other side of the board. But that's just me.
It's a good point. I mean, there is a little bit of extra space on the board. I don't think they could have gone with standard card size, but European card sizes might have worked. But that would also go with doing something that was a little bit more art focused.
Yeah.
Whereas this was definitely produced in such a way to be straightforward, easy to understand, easy to set up and get to the table, and also have a lower cost. So you are getting what you pay for, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something that players that are looking for more deluxe components know what you're getting. But the player boards, very nice. I like dual layer boards.
So this, to get to the gameplay. So definitely a competitive game. There's not, depending on the player count, the game changes a lot, in my opinion. And I'll give you...
So why don't you explain why? Because we had some discussions about this before actually getting to the review. So explain where that change really comes into play.
Well, so as a 2-player game, so you're competing for resources in this game.
Spaces. This is a worker placement game.
Yeah. So at a 2-player game, you're playing your strategy a little bit more, and there's less. So there's advantages and disadvantages. You have the advantage of having access to more of the resources that allow you to level up, but you get less rotation of the challenges cards.
As well as the lesson cards. And those spaces that you mentioned, sorry for jumping in, are the ones that also give you access to easy challenges.
Yep.
So those are the 3 spaces on the board that can let you do that. There are other places that you can level up. And at higher player counts, more spaces get unlocked, but you're really looking at different strategies.
Yeah. So the 2-player game, the 2-player games that we played, it was much more about playing our own game and a little bit of luck of the draw as well as to which good cards came up for our turn, because you were lucky a few times where you got a really good challenge card that was turned at your time that you could jump on, and I was lucky other times for other things. So it really is a little bit of more luck, but you definitely play much more strategically when you're playing 2 players. 3 players, that's where you start seeing the resource limitation come out. I have to say 3 player was my sweet spot, because you're not playing against each other. You're playing, you have to adapt as the resources disappear, but you have access to the resources a little bit more.
Yeah, there's a few spots that open up. Every player is pretty much guaranteed a chance to level up 1 player for free and get an easy challenge. So what that does is that keeps the scoring going a lot easier. Whereas in a 4-player game, there is 1 player that's essentially excluded from getting an easy challenge immediately in the first turn. So you have to take a completely different strategy. Now, that's not a bad thing, but that changes the game up. And if we're talking about playing with an 11-year-old, that's something that could be very frustrating for them.
Well, not even just an 11-year-old. I have to say, if you're not, if we're playing against non-gamers, we are at a little bit of an advantage if we're playing at a 4-player game, because we've learned with the different games that we're playing to adapt a little bit more. Somebody who doesn't play as many games may not think that quickly to be able to adapt their strategy based on what becomes available. So it becomes a little bit more frustrating for that last player, or whoever, if somebody ends up always being the last player, to have what's left on the board.
Yeah. Just to talk a little bit more about that so that we don't actually have videos where you say everything, then I say everything. We've done that a few times, and we love this conversational aspect. I'm agreeing with you because one thing that I found about this game is that first player is powerful. It almost feels too powerful, as Julie said. If you are the 4th player, you're definitely at a little bit of a disadvantage. Now, I was just thinking back through as I realized we did make a slight mistake on our setup for 4 players. The 3rd and the 4th player get a little bit of a bonus, but they get only, it's like an extra magic. So it helps out in terms of resources. It can let you immediately gain 2 levels, but it's not a big enough swing compared to having that first player token, because as the game plays out, you're going to be seeing resources, especially those free spots, go very quickly, and just not having access to an easy challenge early on can be absolutely devastating.
I do like, however, that there is a spot where you can buy that first player token, at least, so that it's not whoever starts the game has that the whole way through, because that would be a horrendously big advantage.
Yes, and as Julie said, there's more randomness in this game than I would like for a worker placement game. Now, it works well for a family weight game, but you never know what you're going to get. For example, at one point, Julie took a hard challenge that one that was very difficult because she needed to get her hard challenge. Then one shows up for me and she's like, well, that's like an easy one. You can do that with 2 characters, and it's Take the Owls, which scores you the most amount of points that you can get, and I was the next player. It was just a no-brainer for me to get it, so that is definitely frustrating. Same thing can happen for the lessons. You can have nothing great available, take something, and then immediately after, as a player after you, is like, oh, I'll take that one, then that gives me 30 points, which you would have liked to have. So there's definitely a way for you to play your best game possible in this game and still lose. Because of the randomness, because there's randomness in a few different factors. Now, are you going to lose badly? I can't say that would happen, because the games that we've played at least between you and I, have been very close. It's been like 2 points, 3 points, like 1 card has made the difference. So that little bit of luck, one way or the other, can just...
Or noticing, because, Jason's been lucky or observant to notice some things that I missed. I should know better now when Jason said, are you done? Are you sure? That should be an indication for me that I should look a second time just to be sure.
Hey, that time when I said it, you were actually just not going to play your character. So, yeah.
Yeah. So in any case, I think what we're saying is I'm going to say, actually, I'm ready to score it. So if you have anything else, I'm going to score it and I'm going to give the reason why I'm going to score it that way.
I want to talk a little bit more about the positives of the game, because I think we've been very middle of the road throughout this entire review. The one thing that I wanted to mention about the game, and it works well, but it is a little frustrating. I just mentioned that you were ready to pass your turn. In the last round, it is all about scoring points. Nothing else matters, and you can definitely come to a final play where you're like, yeah, I can't play this character. And that's happened to us multiple times on two-player games. We basically took our first 2 turns, we looked at our last worker, and we're like, no matter what we do, it's not going to generate us any more points for the end game, which is a little frustrating, but I guess it's just part of having an easier worker placement game. So what is really great about this game? It is easy to teach. The actions that you're doing are simple. They are fairly straightforward. The complexity comes in terms of how you're going to maximize your point score, but just about any player can pick up the rule book or you can teach them and they'll be able to get it like that. One of the things that I would like, as you mentioned with iconography, if it was just a little bit easier to see, I think we'd be able to play a lot faster. But the nice thing is, once you've gotten this game to the table multiple times with the same group of players, I think this is probably going to be more of a 45-minute game. You're going to be able to take it out, place your workers, and just keep the game moving, even at a higher player count of 3 or 4 players. And you feel like you're in the Harry Potter world, doing the challenges, reading the text. It has the flavor of Harry Potter. I like as Julie mentioned, the pretty test tubes for your scoring. It's really cool seeing your score build up. And I find that it adds a really nice visual element that you don't have in a lot of board games. So I definitely think that the game succeeds exactly what it wants to do in being an accessible, family weight, competitive Harry Potter game, because most of them are cooperative, at least from the op. Now, there are some competitive ones from Night Model, but we won't talk about those because they're horrendously overpriced.
Okay.
Yes. So that's what I think about the game. Do you have any positives or anything you want to add to what I said? Do you agree?
I agree with you, and I think I had some positives.
Like I said, I think we were middle of the road, so I want to just stress the positives.
I think I started off by saying this is dripping in Harry Potter.
Yes,
it definitely feels like you're in the world of Harry Potter. And we did say it's an easy game to play and teach. We just said that from an age perspective, from a complexity, it's you just...
Yeah.
So, rating.
How about you go first?
So for me, based on the way it plays differently for the different levels and the randomness and all those things that we said before, I give it a 6.5. I think if it was a little bit more balanced at the different player counts, it might have been able to get a 7, but a little bit of the frustrations of those that for that 4-player count come through here for me in the 6.5. And like you said, of that, especially for me, the fact that the game is often decided before you go into the 7th round. I find
it's not necessarily decided, but you're not gonna have your best 7th round necessarily. Your options are limited. Pick your challenges, score the most points possible.
Yeah.
So I've got to agree with Julie. This game is a 6.5. It is very much a solid family weight competitive game. I enjoy playing it. It's not going to be leaving the collection. It's just if I think about worker placement games, we've played some others that I definitely would rather play if it's going to be specifically the 2 of us, which it often is, rather than this game. But looking at what we have for worker placement games that we could play, for example, with your parents or other family members, I think this is definitely the best of the bunch. And I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed by picking this up as a Harry Potter game. It's just something that it's not going to hit the table that often when we're playing, the 2 of us.
Mm-hmm.
So, what time is it?
It's time to remind people to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified when we have some new content for you.
And take a look down below in the video description. You'll find links to all of our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see pictures of Julie and I and her parents playing Harry Potter, the House Cup competition, they'll be on those feeds. And then popping up in front of me is going to be a link to our most recently released video. And over there in front of Julie is going to be to one of the Harry Potter games. Which one are you thinking?
The Rising one.
Okay, so it will be Death Eaters Rising. Oh, that's right. We got another Rising game to play from the op soon.
Yep.
The Batman Who Laughs.
That's more your IP, but that's okay.
You can be Wonder Woman.
Okay. So on that note, it's time to grab our drinks.
Grab our now. We're friends again. We're not rival wizards.
We're going to keep playing games.
And keep playing games.
And I'd like to point out that I beat you.
Yes.
Twice.
3 times.
Oh, wow. I forgot about one of them. So you beat me only once.
I only beat you once. Yes. You beat me by 2 points, 2 points, and then 3 points. Like I said, one card. One card.
Skill.
Cards.